the Council's website. Everyone participating in the meeting will be attending either in the Council chamber or from remote locations. Members and officers can indicate they want to speak by pressing the hands up icon. In the event of a vote on any agenda item, members through the ModGov voting app will then cast their votes for, against or abstain. I will now proceed to the agenda business. And we have had apologies for absence from Councillor Phil Jenkins, Councillor Rhys Good, Councillor Alex Ulberini-Williams and Councillor Ross Penhale-Thomas. And I can see that members have indicated, so I will take Councillor Chris Davis first, please. Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to inform you that there's a number of members waiting to join the meeting. They tried to register on the new ModGov thing and they're unable to do it.
Right, well, thank you for that, Councillor Davis. I believe those issues are being addressed as we speak, but I will continue to take apologies and we will have an update at the end of that item and make sure that all members that are trying to access the meeting have accessed the meeting at that point. So next we have Councillor Bennett, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I give apologies for Councillor Heather Griffiths and Councillor Howell Williams, please?
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Bennett. Councillor Harrison, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to say that the chamber main feed is showing Councillor Tim Thomas. Now, he's quite a handsome guy, but surely it should be on yourself when you're speaking.
Thank you for that, Councillor Harrison. We will. There we go.
There we go.
We've got both of us now. We're flashing between.
There we are.
That must be very upsetting for viewers online. Okay, thank you, Councillor Harrison. Councillor Amanda Williams, please.
Very much, Mr. Mayor. I was going to raise the same thing. I know I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks, but I thought you changed. Also, I need to leave the meeting at 6:45. Okay,
right,
thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Williams. And Councillor Ulberini-Williams, please.
Thank you. Afternoon, Mr. Mayor. I'll be with you for the first 50 minutes of the meeting.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Ulberini-Williams. Next, we've got Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to just say that Councillor Smith will be late into the meeting, and I think Councillor Della Hughes is having problems getting in.
Right. Okay, that's noted. Thank you for that, and our team, I'm sure, on to that in terms of Councillor Hughes. Okay, Councillor. Well, you're here, and can you access the meeting, Councillor Hughes? Right. Okay. So you wouldn't have heard that online, Councillor Clark, but we are assisting Councillor Hughes with her technical issues.
Sorry, I didn't realise she was there. Sorry.
She's. I didn't realise either. Thank you for that, Councillor Clark. Councillor Griffiths is next, please. Councillor Simon Griffiths.
Yes, to make apologies, I will need to leave at 6 p.m. today, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Griffiths, and then finally we have Councillor Martin Hughes, please.
Yes, thank you. I need to leave by 6:30. Apologies.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Hughes. And I'll now check with our Democratic Services team. Are we able to confirm that everyone who's tried to access the meeting is now in the meeting? Every member, that is, please.
Mr. Mayor, I think members are able to access. They're just struggling a bit to get into the ModGov system. So as with last time, if there are any who can't, if we do come to a vote, I will do a partial verbal vote and then the rest on ModGov. Thank you.
Right, okay. And if you are experiencing problems with ModGov, can you please contact a member of Democratic Services and they'll come and assist you within the chamber, or if you're online, try and support you online as well. Okay, so we will now receive declarations of a personal or prejudicial interest from members and indeed officers in accordance with the Members' Code.
My hand is disabled.
Right. Okay. So, well, I'll now take declarations of interest in accordance with the Code of Conduct. We seem to be having some technical problems. So, if you are unable to raise your hand within the chamber, then you can use the old-fashioned method and actually raise your hand. I will not necessarily take you in the order in which you have raised your hand, but I will take Councillor Bennett first, and then I will go round the chamber. So, Councillor Bennett first, please.
Thank you. I'd like to declare a personal interest in item 6 as a member of the PSB on behalf of my employer.
Okay, thank you. That's noted, Councillor Bennett. And then I will take Councillor Pratt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm not sure, but agenda item 12, as I'm an elected town and community councillor. Thank you, Chair.
Right, okay, thank you, Councillor Pratt. Then I will take Councillor Blundell. I'm starting at the back row and I'll work my way down. Councillor Blundell, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Personal interest in agenda item 7, as the school I am a governor at is mentioned in the capital programme. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Blundell. Councillor John, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Amanda Williams can't get her hand raised electronically. She'd like to come in.
Right, okay. Councillor Amanda Williams, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My raised hand icon has disappeared off my screen, but I need to declare a prejudicial interest in item number 7 as Chair of Governors of Coity Primary School, and there's been a change in the funding that's required for the project.
Okay, thank you for that. That is noted. Thank you, Councillor Williams. I will now take the second row from the back of the chamber. Councillor Winstanley, please.
Thank you. I need to declare a personal interest in the capital programme outturn as my employer is in charge of the Maesteg Town Hall and Grand Pavilion, which I mentioned in that. I'm also a personal interest as I'm also a town and community councillor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Winstanley. Councillor Evans, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to declare a prejudicial interest in item 7 as I am a community governor in both Croysty Primary and Pencoed Comprehensive School, please. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Evans. Did I see a hand raised to my right, or has that now been lowered?
It's only to say I haven't got a hand icon on, but I think that's for everyone.
Yeah, we're aware of that. Thank you for that, Deputy Leader. Councillor Ian Williams, please.
Could I declare a personal interest in agenda item 7, the school capital maintenance grant, as I am a governor of both Oldcastle Primary School and Brinte Comprehensive, and also agenda item 12, as I am a Bridgend Town Councillor, and it relates to town and community councils.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Williams. And then finally, on declarations of interest, Councillor Llewellyn Hopkins, please.
Thank you. It's not a declaration of interest, it's just a point. If you actually log off the meeting and log back on, your hand icon comes back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Llewellyn Hopkins. And finally, even though they haven't raised their hands, I will take declarations from the Monitoring Officer and the Chief Executive. Monitoring Officer, please.
Thank you, Chair. Prejudicial interest in item number 9, and I'll be leaving the room.
Okay, thank you for that, Monitoring Officer. Chief Executive, please.
Similar basis, prejudicial interest in item 9, and I'll be leaving the chamber.
Thank you for that, Chief Executive. Councillor Llewellyn Hopkins, is that it? That's an old hand, is it?
It just keeps coming back on, sorry.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we are going to try and resolve the IT problems we are experiencing. So we're going to take a short break to make sure that we're back on fully online. So we'll be back online. We'll reconvene the meeting in 5 minutes. Okay, everyone, can I have your attention, please? We're restarting the meeting now. Everyone should have had their IT problems addressed. So we will reconvene the meeting, and we will now move on to the approval of the minutes, and that is to approve the minutes of the last council meeting held on the 26th of June 2025. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please?
Move.
They're true and accurate.
Seconded.
Thank you. Everyone in agreement? Okay. Thank you. We'll now receive announcements from myself as Mayor. First of all, for members to note, the Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting originally scheduled for the 11th of September will now not take place. A meeting of the Social Services, Health and Wellbeing Overview and Scrutiny Committee will be held on that date instead. Members and officers' diaries will be updated accordingly. A member of a meeting of the Standards Committee took place this week, and a recommendation of the Standards Committee was that all chairs and myself as Mayor remind members of the paramount importance of members being respectful to other members and other officers and anyone who's attending any of our meetings. So I am reminding you of that today. That was a clear recommendation of the Standards Committee that I know was attended by the three group leaders. I've been lucky as Mayor to see some of our very talented local choirs perform in the last month. Kempsford Hill and District Male Voice Choir packed out the historic Margam Abbey. Bridgend Male Choir sold out the Tabernacle Chapel in Bridgend. Maternal Harmony packed out the Tabernacle too. Well-deserved standing ovations were given at all the concerts, and I know a number of colleagues were there at those concerts too. My thanks to Bridgend Rotary Club for organising the annual Bridgend Youth Speaks event and inviting me along to Bryntegg School. Standards were impressively high, with every team a credit to their school. Both teams from Ysgol Gyfun Gymraeg Llangynoed were exceptional, eloquent, clear, well-informed and informative. The school were crowned Bridgend champions at both senior and junior level. Together with Councillor Spiller and Councillor Barrow, I had the difficult role of judging the first GIV finals at Bryn Terfyn Comprehensive School, and I also judged at Cymfig Comprehensive School. Each and every team had worked so hard to raise funds to showcase their chosen charity. Pupils spoke with passion, confidence and knowledge about their charities and undertaken countless fundraising activities. The winning team at Bryn Terfyn won £1,000 for the Forget Me Not choir for people with dementia. £1,000 was won for Mental Health Matters Wales by the fantastic winners at Cymfig Comprehensive School. My congratulations to Scouts and Beavers of Pen y Fay First Scouts Pack that earned the Chief Scouts Gold and Silver Awards, the highly prestigious top award that Scouts and Cubs can earn. And a big thank you to the volunteers across the county borough that support Scouts and Beavers. A record-breaking 6,200 people of all ages and abilities entered Puthcall 10K 2025, from elite athletes to young toddlers. Omar Hamid and Natasha Wilson were crowned champions, with Natasha setting a new course record in the women's race. A real team effort, the annual event is supported by Bridgend County Borough Council and also relies on the vital support of a small army of volunteers, including the Extra Milers and St John Ambulance, and the race wouldn't have taken place without them. This was the biggest and best 10K yet, providing a real boost to businesses with busy local cafes, bars, restaurants and shops in the town. Finally, I would like to thank everyone who has sponsored me for the 26-mile Mumbles to Mules in Kenfig charity walk. This is another event that has broken records. Over 160 walkers have already raised over £18,000 for the local charity that supports people with life-changing and life-limiting conditions. And even though I've just about completed the walk, you can still sponsor me. Okay. Thank you, members. We will now receive any announcements from our new Chief Executive. Jake, please.
Thank you. Just a short one for me. First of all, I'd like to just thank everyone for the warm welcome I've had. Members, officers, the corporate team have been fantastic. I'm entering my 3rd week now, so I'm doing a lot of listening and a lot of learning about this fantastic county. I'm looking forward to getting to know you all better. Many of you will have been given a date for me to visit your wards. My intention is, some of you may recall from the interview some of the promises I made. I hope not too many. But certainly one of the ones I'm really following through and I'm making a priority of is to get out every week to at least 2 wards to visit you as councillors, to see really, to get to know you individually and what your aspirations are, what you want for your ward and for the county, but also to benefit me in getting to know the county and the geography really well, and what makes your wards and your communities tick. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've already done a couple and learnt a lot from it, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in the coming months. There's not an exact science about the order in which we do it in. We're trying to do it alphabetically, but also practically to match diaries. So there is no grand design other than trying to make sure we get round every ward we can. But I'm very much looking forward to it and looking forward to working with you all to make Bridgend County Borough Council, the best it can possibly be.
Thank you very much, Jake. And next we have announcements from our leader. Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Several announcements I'll go through. First one is a Porthcawl, which has been in the news for various reasons recently, but is due to showcase very soon the AIG Women's Open Golf Championship. Porthcawl. We're expecting more than 37,000 visitors expected to attend the event between 30th of July and the 3rd of August. And live coverage of the championship will be broadcast on Sky Sports. This presents yet another opportunity to demonstrate what the town and the county borough have to offer for the national and international audiences. Members may want to remind constituents that while the event is underway, the footpath leading from Pink Bay in the direction of West Road will be temporarily unavailable, and a drone-free zone will be in effect over the course itself. So to ensure it all runs smoothly, free parking will be available close to the Royal Porthcawl. Traffic marshals have been recruited to support drivers, and a free spectator shuttle bus will be running from Bridgend railway station. So it's a free bus, it's not free entry. Get you there. Events such as this and the recent sellout of the Porthcawl 10K and the annual Elvis Festival provide a huge boost for the local economy and help to develop Porthcawl's reputation as a tourist destination. Porthcawl's also been in the headlines recently for an announcement by the operators of Coney Beach Amusement Park that this season will be their last. Comments made on social media or reactions in the news suggest that many people believe it was the council or Welsh Government who closed the fun fair. This is not the case. The operators first made an announcement in March 2023 that they intended to stop trading and close the fair. Welsh Government subsequently purchased the site to ensure the land could be incorporated into the council's plans for the waterfront regeneration. So I don't think this means the end of Fairground Rides in Porthcawl, as the regeneration plans include proposals for creating new public open space which will be capable of hosting rides, visiting fairs, specialty markets, live music and lots more. So it's not the end of the fun fair in Porthcawl. So I'll ask members to remind people of this and to point them towards the Porthcawl Waterfront website to find out more. In other news, members may be interested to know that grants of up to £10,000 have been made available for community tree planting projects. With funding available to charities, community groups and landowners, Eligible projects include tree and hedgerow planting, care and maintenance of newly planted sites, and educational activities that engage with schools and community groups. The initiative has been organised by Network Rail as a way of offsetting the environmental effects of railway operations, and full details are available at their website. Similarly, a branching out fund offered by the Tree Council is offering up to £2,500 to engage young people in planting and caring for trees, hedges and orchards, which may also be of interest to people within your wards. Further good news, congratulations are due to 9 sites across Bridgend County Borough that have been presented with the prestigious Green Flag, my connection just went, Green Flag Keep Wales by Keep Wales Tidy Award. This is given in recognition of high environmental standards, excellent visitor facilities, and a commitment towards high quality green spaces. This will be the 16th year in a row that Coitchurch Crematorium will have won the Green Flag. Probably one of very few places in the country that's had 16 consecutive Green Flag awards. It's also been awarded to Park Slip Nature Reserve, Bringarrow Country Park, and Maesteg Welfare Park. Also, Coeder Hela Woodland in Penivey has been awarded a Green Flag Community Award for the first time. And community awards have also been presented to Kyra Market Garden, the Spirit of Limby Woodlands, Ogwaville Fire Station, Tremaines Wood, and the Marlas Green Space Community Garden. So congratulations to all the volunteers and staff whose efforts and hard work have delivered these successes, and long may it continue. Finally, the ongoing refurbishment of children play areas has now covered on half of the sites across the County Borough. The next in line to benefit from this initiative will be sites located at Fairfield Road, Gerddi Carrella, and Hayesfield in Bremennin. Once completed, a total of 98 play areas will have been refurbished and updated with modern play equipment, and safety servicing, and much more. That's all the play areas we are responsible for. In addition, I was delighted to see that final plans have been revealed for the replacement skate park facility at Brackler, and they will have high quality development which will reflect feedback from residents and users. This has been developed in partnership with Maverick Skate Parks, and construction is scheduled to begin in the autumn. The artist's impressions for the site are hugely impressive and reflect our ambition and commitment towards providing young people with modern leisure facilities. If members would like to have a closer look, you can see designs and find out more by visiting maverickskateparks.co.uk, or alternatively, visit the Brackler ward later this year where you'll see this wonderful facility. Thank you, members.
Thank you for your report, Leader. The first officer's report we have on today's agenda is on the Healthy Travel Charter, and I will ask our Chief Officer for Finance, Housing and Change to present the report. Caris, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just to confirm that I'm Caris Lord, I'm the Chief Officer for Finance, Housing and Change, and I also have with me this afternoon Kirsty Williams, who's the Partnership and Community Safety Partnership Manager. So the purpose of this report is to update Council on the work of Cwm Taf Morgannwg Public Services Board on a Healthy Travel Charter. Healthy travel charters have been developed and supported across Wales by Healthy Travel Wales and Public Health Wales. Cwm Taf Morgannwg University Health Board are leading the development of the charter for the Public Services Board in our area. Research shows that reducing levels of physical activity, increasing levels of obesity, air pollution, social isolation and worsening health inequalities are all pressing public health issues. In the Cwm Taf Morgannwg area, 38% of people report being active for less than 30 minutes per week, while 67% of people are either overweight or obese. At the Public Services Board meeting in December 2023, members agreed to work together on a healthy travel charter for the region. The charter, which is attached for you at Appendix 1, focuses on changes that we can make to the way we work as an organisation that can enable more active, healthy travel. A number of the elements relate to staff, as across the Cwm Taf Morgannwg area, nearly 1/3 of the working age people work within the public sector. The Council is already working on many of the elements of the Charter, such as cycle to work schemes, providing facilities for staff to actively travel to workplaces, incentives such as earning mileage allowance for cycling for work purposes, flexible working and changing our fleet to electric vehicles.
It's proposed that the existing active travel user group within the council is developed further to form a network in the local authority to drive this work across the organisation. And the Corporate Director for Communities will be the lead officer in the council for this piece of work. I can also confirm that the leader signed the Active Travel Charter at the Public Services Board meeting on the 10th of July. So if I may, Mr Mayor, I could just take you to the recommendations at section 9 of this afternoon's report. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Caris. To begin the debate, can I just have a mover and a seconder of the report, please?
I'll formally move, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Granville. Do you have a seconder, please?
I'll second, Mr
Thank
Mayor.
you for that, Councillor Farr. Councillor Davis, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a few short words from myself, Chair. As the active travel champion for the authority, I fully support the Charter. Among other things, the Charter aims to promote healthy lifestyles by promoting healthy forms of travel throughout the county borough, by encouraging residents and staff to walk and cycle to work and pleasure where possible. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Next, we have Councillor Ian Williams, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a few quick ones. As an active cyclist myself, could the Cabinet Member for Communities please explain why this authority does not provide sufficient secure cycle parking for all the authority-owned buildings, including the one we sit in today, so that members of the public can use these facilities and cycle to them? And what measures are they implementing to mitigate this shortfall? Thank you, Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, Chair, I was unaware of this shortfall, to be frank. I'm quite happy to have a look into it for the member. I haven't got the answers to hand, so I will endeavour to find them and get back to the member after the meeting, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Councillor Davis.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Williams. Next, we have Councillor Tim Thomas, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Naturally, I support the Charter, of course, but feedback I've had from cycling clubs and users of, and cyclists as well, has alluded to the fact that they feel that a lot of our cycling lanes are, well, they're not connected, they're a bit disjointed, and they don't really lead to anywhere. I'm just wondering if the active travel champion has had any experience of using the cycling lanes and what his feedback is, please.
Thank you for that, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Davis, please.
I have used cycle paths in the past, Councillor Thomas. Yeah, it is disjointed. That's why we have an active travel user group now, which met, funny enough, before this meeting today, where these are looking to be addressed, and we need funding from the Welsh Government to make these changes, and where we can, we will make them to make the network more joined up and user friendly. Thanks, Councillor Thomas.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Davis. Next, we've got the leader, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I was pleased to be able to sign this charter last week and accept there's some questions about cycle routes. This is not just about cycling, this is walking, using public transport, so many other ways of the healthy travel. And I'm pleased to see that some of the work within the Appendix A we're already done or doing, and there's further work can be done. And I look forward to further discussions with members and officers to see how further we can go with the various ideas and suggestions within Appendix A to promote the active healthy travel charter. So, thank you.
Thank you for that, leader. Next, we've got Councillor Amanda Williams, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Mine is with regards to electric vehicles. A lot of people know that I've got an electric vehicle, and I welcome the charging points in Bridgend town. However, they're the slow chargers. If you go up to Sainsbury's, Macarthur Glen, the services, they've all got super fast chargers. I can charge my car up from 0 to full in half an hour. If I drive into town, I can park for an hour in the town car park, and I can get 3 miles charge from the charging points that we've put in. So I wondered if there's any plans to put some of these super fast chargers in, because I'm worried that people will be attending the out of town facilities rather than our town centres if they can charge their car much quicker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Williams. Leader, do you want to respond to that, please?
Yeah, if I can, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Briefly, we do need to look at that. There's a lot of charges gone in. I think there's a 7 kilowatt. I forget the actual term, but they do take the ones that have been put into car parks are sort of meant for people that leave the car there overnight to get the full charge, which is not ideal if you want a quick charge. The difference is, I think they have 50 pence per kilowatt hour compared to the ones at Sainsbury's or motorway with 70, 80 pence a kilowatt hour. But we do need. There's a lot of work being done and more to be done, working with the Cardiff Capital Region, who have invested the money into the current charging network, but there's more work to be done, especially as far as the fast charges concerned and the locations.
Okay, thank you for that, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Williams. Next, we've got Councillor Pratt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, no, I welcome this charter. I think it's certainly a good idea, not just for physical health, but for mental health for those who feel that active travel may not be for them. The benefits of just being outside can be greatly beneficial. My question to this council would be costs and payments. Though the charter will give us a good route forward, is there a concern from council that we will just be left to foot the bill while other public bodies and organisations tell us what great ideas that they have and we end up paying for them? So is there a funding network as well as just the charter to share costs across the board? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'll bring the Chief Finance Officer in to answer that question, as it's your report. Thanks, Gareth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I mean, this was agreed across the Public Services Board, and all obviously the strategic partners for across the area are at that board and have agreed to sign up to this. There may well be issues around financing of that, and the different bodies are aware of that. But we are working together on it, and we are trying to tackle those issues which are relevant for us in the public sector and working together to try and deliver that. We will look, obviously, if there are financial implications, and we would discuss that across the partnership. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Caris. And of course, Welsh Government continued to fully fund active travel improvement enhancements across Wales. Next, we've got Councillor Llewellyn Hopkins, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Regarding electric cars again, what's being done to help people like myself who don't live on a road? So there's no way for me to plug a charger in and run it to the car because the car is about 50 metres from the house. So can you just give me some ideas of what's being done to get rid of that problem, please?
I'll bring the leader in, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I forgot to mention this, because yesterday at Cabinet, we approved the EV charging strategy consultation to start, well, imminently now. So that was approved at Cabinet yesterday to go to consultation, asking people their views on the whole topic of EV charging, whether that's gully charging, lamppost charging, various types. So the consultation will be live soon, and people need to feed into that if they can.
Thank you for that information, Leader. And of course, that report is available online, and I'm sure we'll be promoting the consultation when it takes place, so people can take part in that consultation. Next, we've got the Deputy Leader, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just thought it would be worth referencing the fact that residents can get involved in active travel in their own wards. Indeed, you and I met with Kevin. Kevin is an active travel user group. He's actually set up a user group in the ward from here to Swansea, because he wants to assist us in identifying any issues. But it's not just about that, it's about encouraging people to take a healthier, active lifestyle, which doesn't involve charging a car, funnily enough. Thanks very much, Luke.
Thank you for that, Deputy Leader. And finally, we've got Councillor Martin Williams, please. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll be aware from your time as leader, and the current leader will also be aware of our frustrations with Hale Spencer and our ongoing demand for a pavement, and how it's been frustrated in the past because funding was for active travel, which was, I guess you'd call it bimodal, but for cycle routes and pavements together, where sometimes that's not always practical or desired. As part of this new initiative or this charter, could I urge the leader and the cabinet member to push for funding to be based on need rather than perhaps an unachievable goal. And it's better to have people walking rather than driving. And if that means that we have a pavement, not a dual path, then that's all the good. So could I seek that assurance from our leadership, please?
Leader, please.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Williams. As you're aware, there's been lots of discussions and work undertaken in the past as far as Spencer and an active travel route, which technically can't be done in compliance with the Welsh Government guidelines. I'm happy to discuss further with Welsh Government, but I can't see them at this moment in time changing their guidelines, because it's not just about walking, it's cycling, it's all modes of travel. And to get the grant funding, there has to be there's a specification of the width of the path, active travel route that has to be constructed, which at this moment in time is almost impossible, if not impossible, to comply with that grant conditions for the location you desire. But if the town council or community councils want to look forward to putting in a simple pathway without grant funding, that can be done. But that's down to community councils and town councils to look at whether they want to fund pathways in the area which are not active travel routes.
Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. No, I'm Mr. Mayor, and I thank you for that, Leader. Apologies, everyone. Can I take members to the report's recommendation and ask if they are all in favour, please?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, colleagues. We'll now move on to the next officer's report, and that is another report, the Chief Officer for Finance, Housing and Change, and that is on the capital programme outturn 2024-2025 and a Q1 update for 2025-2026. And just for the benefit of members online, Councillor Evans, who declared an interest, is leaving the meeting, and if anyone else needs to leave the meeting, please do so now if you've declared a interest. No? Okay. Over to you then, please, Gareth. Thank you.
Thank you. The main purpose of this report is to provide councillors with an update on the capital outturn position for the financial year 2024-25 and also the Q1 capital programme position for this current year as at the end of June. The original capital budget for 2024-25 was approved by Council on the 28th of February 2024. It has been revised and approved by Cabinet during the year to incorporate budgets that were brought forward from 2023-24 and also some new schemes and grant approvals that were awarded during the last financial year. Therefore, the revised programme for 24-25, which was approved by Council on the 26th of February, was £56.1 million. Of this approved programme, £27.3 million was to be funded by Bridgend Council resources, and that includes the use of capital receipts, revenue contributions from earmarked reserves and also borrowing. The remaining £28.8 million was to be funded from external sources. The details of the individual schemes showing the budget available last year compared to the actual spend is detailed for you in Appendix A. Since the last report was considered by members in February, there have been some minor amendments made to the programme, and these are detailed for you today in paragraph 312. The revised budget for 24-25 was therefore £58.3 million. Total capital spend in the last financial year was £29.3 million. After slippage into the new financial year, of £27 million, and also some adjustments relating to grant-funded schemes, this represents an underspend of £17,000. Slippage has occurred for a number of reasons, including delays in starting projects due to more detailed survey works being required. We received some late funding in year from Welsh Government, which has had to be slipped, and also some legitimate delays in scheme progression. These issues were reported throughout the year as we became aware of them, and details of the main areas of slippage are provided for you at paragraph 314 of your report. To reassure members, the funding of the slipped schemes is still available in 25-26, and where the schemes are grant funded, the slippage of the grant has been agreed where required with the funding organisation. The report also provides you with an update on the capital programme for the current financial year since the budget was last approved, and incorporates some new schemes and grant approvals. The revised programme for the current year totals £156.6 million. Of this, £71 million is to be met by Bridgend Council, and the remaining £85 million is coming in from external resources. Table 1 in your report shows the capital programme for each directorate as at Q1, and Table 2 shows you how this is going to be funded during the year. Details of the individual schemes within the programme this year are shown for you at Appendix B, which details the budgets available compared to the projected year-end spend as at the 30th of June. There are currently no projected under or overspends on any of the schemes at year-end. However, a number of schemes have been identified as requiring slippage to future years, and these are detailed for you at paragraph 3 to 4. There are also a number of amendments to the programme since you last saw it in February, and these are detailed for you at paragraph 3 to 5. So the revised capital programme is detailed in Appendix C. The capital strategy gives an overview of how capital expenditure, capital financing and treasury management activity contribute to the provision of services, along with an overview of how associated risk is managed and the implications for future sustainability. To ensure that we monitor this, a number of prudential indicators were included in the strategy, which was approved by Council. In line with the requirements of the Prudential Code for capital financing, the Council is required to establish procedures to monitor both performance against forward-looking indicators and the requirements specified. Appendix D details for you the actual indicators based on the capital programme outturn, and these confirm that the Council is operating in line with those approved indicators. So if I may, Mr Mayor, I take you to the recommendations at section 9 of your report. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Caris. Can I have a mover and seconder of the report, please, so that we can
I'll
have
move,
debate?
Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Granville. Seconder, please.
I'll second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Brundle. We'll now have the Deputy Leader, please.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Thank you very much, Caris. As I referenced yesterday in Cabinet, I'm going to support this and endorse this report in Councillor Williams' absence, who is showing his cows at Bilth. As I regarding the capital programme, of Bridgend County Borough Council, I'm more than happy for this report to be seen here by council colleagues for their endorsement. As a council, we continue to manage an ambitious, large capital programme. We've continued to invest in our assets to support service provision across the county borough, as can be seen by our investment in schools, our highways, economic regeneration and our iconic heritage buildings such as Maesteg Town Hall, which is an absolutely fabulous venue if you haven't visited already. It's being utilised extremely effectively with lots of local residents visiting and those wider afield, all adding value to the local economy. And I am confident that we will have the same outcomes in Porthcawl with the pavilion. A fully funded capital programme for the year of 25-26 of over £150 million. I think that's an achievement all in itself, and it's only right and proper that I propose a vote of thanks from this chamber today for the sheer volume of work our officers have completed and undertaken on our behalf. Even more so as they have accessed £85 million of external funding to support our capital spend this year. 56% of the total cost of our capital spend is not being funded by us, but by external funders. That's marvellous, a marvellous piece of work, and it does need to be recognised, so my thanks to the officers. I also want to acknowledge the slippage. Members will be more than aware that there is always a reason for slippage. Cost of living, Brexit, costs higher than the original estimates. We continue to undertake our due diligence to re-evaluate schemes. They remain a priority, and we always scope to see if a reduction of the scheme is pertinent and prudent to bring down those costs. We remain confident about the delivery of our capital programme, and I recommend noting the capital programme outturn 24-25 to Council and the Q1 update. Thank you very much, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. Next we have Councillor Tim Thomas, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Apologies, on my list, I should have declared a personal interest for this item regarding the Empty Homes grant. It's something that I do quite a bit of work with the Welsh Government on. Thank you.
We'll note that. Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Next, we have Councillor Martin Williams, please. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you and others will be aware, the capital programme has been a concern to me for a number of years, and whilst whilst it's great to have this ambition, and I don't argue with almost any of the individual projects within there, and I applaud the deputy leader's statement that the majority of the fund is external. I mean, who doesn't like free money? But last year in February, we passed a capital programme, agreed a capital programme of just over 110 million, and according to this paper, we actually outturned at 58 million, which I think my simple math says is only 50% or 53% of what we set out to deliver. So almost half of what we set out to deliver didn't happen. And this year, we're told this capital programme will rise by a further 42% to 156 million. So not the 110 we attempted to deliver last year, but this year 156 million. If we only deliver 58 million again, which we have to assume is our capacity to deliver work, that will only be a 37% achievement of the capital programme. I said last year that I had doubts whether we would achieve the capital programme in year, and sadly I was proved right. So what could the leader and the Section 151 officer do to persuade me to support this capital programme this year? Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again and expecting different results.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. I'll bring the leader in first, and then I'll bring the Section 151 officer in next. Leader, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first, I want to welcome the £156 million. Except last year, the slippage, in the report, it says there's various reasons. Things had to happen. It's not exact science sometimes to get 100% funding spent 100% on time. It's been slippage, yes, but I welcome the schemes out there, and they're monitored. There's regular monthly monitoring boards take place, which I attend, and that monitoring will continue. But the things do happen. Not everything goes exactly as planned. We're not all perfect in this world, and things may well slip again. But the monitoring is in place, and systems are there to make sure, as far as practically possible, all schemes are completed on time.
Thank you, Leader. I'll now bring in the Chief Finance Officer, please. Carys.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the question. I think it's important to recognise that a number of the slippage items are actually very large schemes that we've had in the programme, and complex schemes. And they've all been impacted by the cost of living issue that we've had to deal with, and rising costs. I just want to reassure members really that we do go back and do due diligence again on these schemes to make sure that what we want to deliver we can afford to deliver, to see whether or not, if the costs have increased substantially, there's anything we can do to alter those schemes so that we can bring them in at a lesser sum. And so we do due diligence at that point. And also, as has already been referenced this afternoon, a lot of these schemes are jointly funded between us and other agencies. So therefore, it's not solely our decision as to whether or not new funding can be made available. So for instance, in things like the schools programme, a lot of that funding comes in via Welsh Government. And when these costs went up, we had to do new business cases and submit them. So both of those take time. Firstly, writing the new business case, and secondly, putting them through due process through Welsh Government and with colleagues in Welsh Government. And those are examples, I suppose, of why some of these schemes have slipped. And it's not just due to capacity, it is due to us trying to make sure that we continue to deliver what we intended to deliver at the outset, in a cost envelope that we can afford and can be agreed with our partners, and they take time. Now, what I would hope to be able to say to you, Councillor Williams, is that many of those are now in place and ready to run. They're already on site on a few of them, and others will come on board now in the next, in the proper timeline now that that funding is agreed. And therefore, we should see that some of these big schemes will progress, and you should see that coming through as we move through the year and we bring you these update reports.
Thank you for that, Carys. Next, we have Councillor Spiller, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
listening intently to what Caris has just outlined, and I fully appreciate the pressures on the capital programme and ongoing cost pressures. But of course, the public does demand value for money, and it is a public pound that we're spending, whether that be money that we're raising ourselves or money that comes from central government. So my question would be, what additional measures, have we put in place to assure that we are monitoring and forecasting weekly and monthly so we can track whether we're on target to meet the outlined capital programme for this year? Thank you. Thank you for that question, Councillor Spiller. I'll bring Caris in to respond to that question. Caris, please.
Thank you for the question. We will continue to bring the quarterly reports through to Cabinet and to Council, and they are very detailed. They're at scheme level, so that there's complete transparency here about what's in the programme. For many of the larger schemes, there are actually programme boards in place, and they meet on a regular basis. And any change between the agreed timeline or otherwise will be discussed at those boards, and those boards will seek to make any changes that they can to mitigate against those delays. There's also, as already been mentioned by the Leader, a Capital Monitoring Board, which is going to meet monthly this year. And again, the purpose of that board is to pull up any issues from the individual schemes that we are aware of, and to have discussions with regards to any changes that may need to be made to ensure that that scheme can continue safely within the budget that we have agreed. So we do have a number of monitoring arrangements in place.
Thank you for that reassurance, Caris. Next, we have the Leader, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take the opportunity again to mention the £156 million investment in our communities in the County of Aberdeen, and what this is talking about, capital. And I hope every single member of this council supports this expenditure and votes accordingly. I mean, we must welcome £156 million, surely, for our communities. I just want to shout out a few schemes in there, because it's a detailed report, and thanks to officers, because lots of work goes in to producing the report and the monitoring behind the scenes. But just to shout out some of the schemes there, we have Bridgend West, the schools in Kennelly, 28.62 million there. The Coity Primary School extension, now that's desperately needed. We've got to via some money, that is proceeding. It's quite easy not to do these things, but we are proceeding. Coity Primary School will have the extension, even though costs have increased. The All Wales Play Opportunities, that was an announcement by Welsh Government not long ago to invest £5 million across Wales, of which we are receiving £230,000, and we're working with Arwen Cultural Trust to provide brand new play facilities at Bringara Country Park, which will serve the whole county borough. We have coal tip safety announced from Westminster Government down to Welsh Government, being handed down to ourselves at 1.8 million, just under. A big chunk of that money is we spent in the Garrow Valley to deal with some of the works needed there with the legacy from the coal mines. We have the Highways Maintenance Local Government Borrow Initiative. As per our manifesto, we're way ahead of achieving our manifesto. This puts it even further, where we'll have 2.9 million investment in highways this year and 1.9 million next year, in addition to what we've already committed from our own funds. So I hope everybody welcomes the investment in our highways. Even though we all shout about potholes, there is money coming down from central government to Welsh Government to ourselves to deal with potholes. The Shared Prosperity Fund, that's over 2 million going to many local businesses, and that will continue over the next 12 months. And lastly, but not leastly, the Porthcawl Grand Pavilion, extra 3.8 million to make sure there's enough money there to complete that project, to fit out the building, because the previous costs we agreed didn't have the full fit out cost. We now have the money from the sale of the land to Welsh Government from Salt Lake Car Park. So over the next 2 years, we'll see Porthcawl Grand Pavilion, which will add to the wonderful regeneration that's taking place in Porthcawl. So I hope all members welcome this report and welcome the investment in our communities.
Thank you, Leader. Next, we have Councillor Steve Bledsoe, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I would like to associate myself with the sentiments of the Leader and the Deputy Leader in relation to investment in our area should always be welcome. The figures of £156 million are very welcome, especially when we consider that all of that has come from the pockets of our residents directly. It may come from grant funding from UK, Welsh Government, or in fact the Cardiff Capital Regional deal. I do, however, have a concern, and it is based on the fact that the leader has just challenged members to support such investment into our area, because for every capital investment, there are revenue implications. And if we look as an example of the £4 million spent on the bus terminus stop, whatever you want to call it, in Porthcawl, the £4 million investment into a Porthcawl bus service, in the scrutiny of the budget, we realised that there was a £100,000 pressure on our revenue budget. Now, we can all welcome £4 million spend into the Porthcawl area, but a £100,000 budget pressure on the revenue for potentially the next 10 years before it becomes fully functional is obviously a concern that we as a council need to be made aware of when we're supporting capital investment. So my possibly impossible question to Caris and to the relevant cabinet member is there an indicative idea on these capital investments, whether they are cost revenue positive generation for the authority, the percentage of them that is cost negative, as in will put pressures on our revenue budget? Now, if we can't answer that in this meeting, and I prefaced it with saying is possibly an impossible question, is that a matrix that we could measure going forward on the revenue implications of the capital budget? Because our residents will be concerned that you can spend £156 million, you could spend £500 million, but there will be revenue implications, and I certainly would like to understand the revenue implications of the capital investment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that question. That's been addressed to Caris. Over to you, please, Caris. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that question. As part of our strategy with regards to capital expenditure, all capital schemes have to go through a feasibility assessment. And one of the questions that is asked at that stage is, are there any ongoing revenue implications as a result of this scheme? We will pick up, for instance, if we have borrowed for a scheme, we will pick that one up, and that's easy to identify. However, we also ask the questions about if it's a new building, how are we going to manage that building? How are we going to staff it? I think that's probably what you're driving at, Councillor Bledsoe. All schemes that come forward for approval into the capital programme will have gone through that process, and we will be identifying those revenue costs. Some of them will come through then into the revenue budget at the due time. So when the building is complete, or whatever it is that we're doing, any revenue costs we will be aware of, and they will be factored into the budget. We do also keep an eye on schemes can change from the first idea through to final delivery, and we do keep an eye on both the implications from a capital point of view and from a revenue point of view. So there shouldn't be many surprises with regards to additional revenue funding coming through. What we need to do is make sure that we're factoring that into our forward planning when we're looking at our revenue budget.
Thank you for that, Caris. Councillor Martin Hughes is next, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd particularly welcome the coal tip safety grant of £1,795,000. The bulk of which I understand will be spent to remediate the tip in Pontycymer by the cricket field and the old Falde Colliery. There'll also be some money set aside for a number of other schemes as well. But I think it's important also to put it into perspective of the fact that in Bridgend County we have some 181 disused tip areas, and 43 of those are in the higher categories C and D, of which 20 of them are actually in and around the town of Maesteg. So I think that puts it into perspective, the amount of work and monies that we do need to make sure that we remediate, and respond to this challenge. So I'd like to welcome that money and the injection of new money at the same time.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Next, we have Councillor Paul Davis. Please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Hughes for his comments there. Obviously, this is additional money, and as has been said today, it's Welsh Government money has come to us to do this work.
And without this, we'd have £1.795 million less to spend, wouldn't we? So whatever we can do, we just have to press for more money going forward. So if there is tips which have been identified as dangerous, as the one in Blaengarrow obviously has, in priority, they will be tackled, hopefully, and there's been a big commitment, I believe, from the Welsh Government on this matter, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Next, we have Councillor Winstanley, please.
Thank you. I'd like to draw the meeting's attention to the investment in Cwyneli, which our leader has already alluded to. That's £28.628 million from Welsh Government that is well overdue for investment in 2 new schools in Cwyneli. The result of that will also be synergies in reduced maintenance costs because the existing buildings are on their last legs. There will be synergies with the energy efficiency of the buildings, as well as the staffing being more efficient as well. And I have to say that both Councillor Granville and myself are really pleased to say that work has already started on site. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Winstanley. Next, we have Councillor Jones, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a point well made in terms of slippage, and you, Councillor Spiller in particular, has raised the issue of political oversight on these capital projects. From the Education Directorate, the reassurance I can give you is I regularly meet with the Senior Officer for Sustainable Communities for Learning. In fact, my next meeting is next Tuesday. And these multi-million pound projects are so complicated. For instance, we're not immune from the planning process. We have to comply with planning requirements in terms of highway issues, community representation, ecological issues, for example, and they are obstacles which we have to overcome. At a time, of course, we still need to keep dialogue with Welsh Government to ensure that they are on board with each and every project. But I'm fairly confident that we are on track. We will deliver, we will get best value in terms of public purse support, and we do have planning applications going through the process towards the end of next month. So perhaps in a very short period of time, I'll be able to sit here and give you some good news in relation to actual dates of when we can actually put a spade in the ground. And the other thing I have to say as well is, and I'll ask you all to consider this, multi-million pound projects of this kind, there is a very shallow market out there in terms of contractors who are able to provide this service. And it's incumbent upon me as the Cabinet member that we get the best value for our buck, really, from these contractors. So, yeah, it is a point well made. I'm very, very conscious of the fact that I am under the microscope to deliver these projects, but bear with me, we will deliver, and hopefully we'll deliver on time and within budget. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. And then finally we have Councillor Thomas, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, obviously, I'm returning to Councillor Williams's point and also Councillor Bledsow's point. Naturally, I welcome the external funding. Who wouldn't, as Councillor Bledsow said. But for me, this isn't about supporting or not supporting the report. I think it's about ensuring the correct due diligence is in place. And that's, I've got to return back to Councillor Williams's point about the quite high levels of slippage. Now, in the response from the Chief Finance Officer, she did cite a number of challenges. I think the cost of living challenges, and Councillor Jones did mention also just then some of the challenges like planning and environmental challenges. But surely these are challenges that all 22 local authorities in Wales, and indeed outside of Wales, face these challenges. So how does our delivery compare with other local authorities in Wales?
I'll bring...
That's to the Chief Officer, of course.
Yes, I'll bring Caris in on. Yes, okay. Yeah, I'll bring Caris in first, and then I'll bring Councillor Jones in next. Caris, please.
I think on the big funding streams, such as the Schools Modernisation Programme and others that we have, and for instance, the grant funding that we're getting in relation to the pavilion in Porthcawl, by working with the external people, whether that's Welsh Government funding or the SPF funding that we've had for Porthcawl, it's obviously very common across Wales and in fact across the UK that some of these big complex schemes are getting off the ground, but they've all been delayed for the same reasons as we experienced in Bridgend, really. So we're certainly not unique as far as that is concerned. And I think interesting that has also been raised that there is a finite number of contractors who can deal with some of these very complex schemes. And in the case of the pavilion, it's actually very specialist work as well. So we're not unique in that. And certainly in the discussions that we've had with our external funders, they're not surprised that we're going to them and having those discussions. And by the fact that they've agreed to roll that funding forward into future years would suggest that it's not a unique thing to Bridgend either, that they are having these discussions with all of the organisations that they're liaising with, really.
Thank you for that explanation, Cass. I know the Cabinet Member for Education, Children, Young People wanted to come in.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to answer Councillor Thomas, having represented this authority at an All Wales forum where all Cabinet Members for Education meet, I can say with some confidence we compare very well with the other 21 authorities across Wales in terms of our investment in new schools. It's all positive. I'm not going to say we're the best because I am not in a position to do so. But what I will say is that we are in the top quartile across Wales in terms of our investment for new school projects for our children and young people.
Thank you for that, Councillor Jones. So can I take now members to the reports, recommendation, and ask if you are all in favour, please? Aye. Okay. That's everyone, unanimous. Thank you. We'll now move on to the next report, which is a further report of the Chief Officer of Finance, Housing and Change, and it is on our Treasury Management outturn, the report for 2024 to 2025. Caris, please. I'll just check that everyone, there's only the one member that left for that previous item, so everyone is now back in the chamber in person and virtually. So, Caris, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the purpose of this report is to comply with the requirement of the Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy to provide an overview to Council of Treasury Management activities for the past financial year, and also to report on our indicators for that year as well. Members will be aware that Treasury Management is the management of the Council's cash flows, borrowing and investment, and the risks that are associated with that. The Council is exposed to financial risk, and therefore the successful identification, monitoring and control of that risk are central to our prudent financial management. The Treasury Management Strategy for 24-25 was approved by Council on the 28th of February 2024. The report outlines the economic context within which that activity took place last year, and the issues included that inflation remained above the 2% Bank of England target in the latter part of the year. The headline reported consumer price index was 2.6% in March this year, down from 2.8% in the previous month. And at the start of the financial year, the bank rate was 5.25%. It has dropped through the year, and in March 2025, it was confirmed at 4.5%. And changes in interest rates do impact considerably on our Treasury Management activity. So our Treasury Management activities are undertaken in line with the requirements of the Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy, and the Treasury Management activities were reported to the Governance and Audit Committee, Cabinet and Council during the year. A summary of those activities is shown for you at Appendix A of this afternoon's report. And Table 1 in the report summarises the Council's position with regards to its external debt and also its investments. To just summarise some of the activity, the Council did borrow £5 million for a 3-month period for short-term cash purposes at the end of the year, and this has now been repaid. We also borrowed money from the Public Works Loan Board for the first time in a number of years at the end of the financial year, as we had some we had a loan that matured at the end of March, and we've replaced that loan. We didn't reschedule any debt during the year as there was no financial benefit to the Council to do so. However, we will keep this under review as we go through this financial year. The total external borrowing that the Council is currently managing is £103.8 million at the end of March. Of this, 96.6 is long-term borrowing, and the average interest paid on that debt is 4.73% in the last year. The balance of the investments at the year end was £36.7 million, and that's a reduction from the £50 million that we reported at the end of March 2024. The levels of our investments are falling as we're starting to use our reserves, and therefore we have less money to invest. However, even though we had a lower investment level at the end of the year, those investments in total did earn the Council £4.3 million last year. And I want to just reassure members really that when we're investing the Council's money, due regard is always given to ensure the security and liquidity of those investments before seeking the highest rates of return. So we do ensure that when we invest money, we do it safely and that money will come back to the Council. So the Treasury Management Code requires the Council to set and report on a number of indicators. The indicators are either summarise the expected activity or introduce limits on that activity last year. Details for 2024 5 estimates set out in the Council's Treasury Management Strategy are compared to the actual year end, and these are shown for you in Appendix A. This does indicate that the Council operated within the approved limits throughout the last financial year. So if I can, Mr Mayor, I would just take you forward to the recommendations at Section 9 of this afternoon's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Caris. Can I have a mover and a seconder of the report to enable any discussion?
I'll move, Mr Mayor.
Thank you,
I'll
Councillor
second,
Granville.
Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Blundell. Okay, so Leader, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I don't want to say too much because the detail is in the document. It shows the great work that's done. So thank you to Caris and the team for the Treasury Management. And Caris did just mention, but I'll repeat it again, the overall interest received from our Treasury investments over the last year, April 24 to 25, £4.337 million earned in interest from responsible investments. And it just shows that we do know what we're doing as a county borough when it comes to dealing with finances, contrary to certain parties out there or companies like Reform UK Limited who try to make out that local authorities don't know how to control finances. We do know. We do a great job at it, and it shows in this report what great job is being done. So maybe certain members might want to make a comment if you think contrary.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Spanzik. Are there any other speakers? If not, can I take members to the report's recommendation and ask if they are all in favour, please, to note the report. Everyone's in favour, that's unanimous, thank you. We'll now move on to the next report, which is a report on the electoral registration officer and returning officer, and for the benefit of those members and members of the public online, the chief executive and the monitoring officer are now leaving the meeting as they declared an interest. So I will now invite the deputy monitoring officer and the group manager for legal services to present the report. Laura, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. For the purposes of the recording, my name is Laura Griffiths and I'm the Group Manager of Legal and Democratic Services. The purpose of today's report is to seek Council approval to now formally appoint the Electoral Registration Officer and the Returning Officer. This is a legislative requirement. It is set out in Section 8 of the Representation of the People Act 1983, and it's a requirement the Council formally appoints an Electoral Registration Officer and a Returning Officer. Failure to appoint to those roles could lead to the Council being challenged in failing to meet its statutory duties. Those roles are currently included in the job description of the Chief Executive, so it is now recommended that Council formally approves those appointments. Additionally, we are looking to ask Council to also appoint a Deputy Electoral Registration Officer who can pick up any of those functions in the absence of the Electoral Registration Officer. And it is recommended that the Deputy be the Chief Officer, Legal and Regulatory Services, HR and Corporate Policy, and the monitoring officer. So she would then be able to undertake those functions in the absence of the electoral registration officer. To allow for further flexibility, it is also proposed that we delegate to the Chief Executive the authority to then be able to appoint further deputies should he require it, and to revoke or remove those appointments. Otherwise, Mr Mayor, I take you to the recommendations that are at section 9 of the report. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Deputy Monitoring Officer. Can I have a mover and seconder of the report, please?
Second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Pratt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a quick one from me. I think this is the first time that I've done this as a councillor. Is 9.3 standard practice, or is this something that that we feel is a good idea? Just sort of I'm not sure, so I thought I'll ask the question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councillor Pratt. I'll bring the Deputy Monitoring Officer back in. Laura,
Thank you,
please.
Mr Mayor. So it is a legislative requirement for Council to appoint the electoral registration officer and a deputy. We've included the delegated authority just as a further recommendation to give us flexibility so that we wouldn't have to come further back to Council for any amendments to those appointments. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation, Laura. And next we have Councillor Haynes, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I understand that this process has been undertaken under delegated authority. However, for myself, this is the first time as a relatively new councillor I've seen this process. These people to me are just names, and I wondered if it might be a benefit for going forward, should this happen again, that we have at least some information on the quality of the candidates, or some indication at least of why they've been selected. A pen picture, perhaps?
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Haynes. I'll bring Laura in, but we just referring to the report on the appointment of the electoral registration officer and returning officer. So it's the proposal is to appoint the Chief Executive and the monitoring officer. Well, we should be. Okay. 9.3 in reference to the deputies. Right. Okay. I'll bring Laura in on that then, please, Laura.
Yes. Thank you. So obviously that would be a delegate. Sorry, it's not working. Thank you. So obviously that would be a delegated function that you would give to the Chief Executive. So it would then be a matter for him to determine who he would allocate as his deputies. But that is a matter for Council whether you want to give that delegated authority to the Chief Executive. As I said, it's just a matter of ensuring that there's flexibility so that we wouldn't have to come back to Council to make any further appointments. But it would be the delegated authority given to the Chief Executive, who would then in turn appoint those deputies.
Thank you for that, Laura. And I'm sure the appointment would be based on experience and skills that those individuals have. Councillor Bledsoe, and then I'll bring in Councillor Pratt. So Councillor Bledsoe first, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I'd just like to build on what's been said there and perhaps try and understand the confusion. And it's based on 9.1 and 9.2 in the report. Are we appointing the person or the position to the role? Because if we're appointing the position, then the person becomes transient and can be changed, but the position will remain. Or if we are appointing the person, should we therefore name the person in this report?
We are appointing the position, but I'll ask the Deputy Monitoring Officer to confirm that for the record. Laura, please.
Yes, that's correct, Councillor Bledsoe. We're appointing the position, so it's the Chief Executive and it's the Chief Legal Officer.
Regardless of who currently fills that role?
That's correct, yes.
That's fine. Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bledsoe. And that is standard practice, isn't it, across Wales for the benefit of members. Councillor Pratt is next, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. It plays funny with me, to be honest. It's not so much appointing more deputies. It's because that's fine during election periods. they can be quite busy. But it's the revoking of. Now, I'm sure our new chief executive is a moral person, and I don't have to. But it's more of a safeguard of if they have the power to revoke all deputies and they go rogue, so to speak. It's sort of, would we allow this? It's more of a. I know it's an extreme, but it's this sort of safeguards that I get worried about. So I'm happy for the chief executive to appoint more deputies, but should the question be about whether revoking them and not come to council, or at least come to cabinet, would be a question in hand. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councillor Pratt. I'll ask the Deputy Monitoring Officer to respond to that point, as I know it's the case that chief officers are regularly obviously making appointments and revoking appointments. That is a basic fundamental role that they have. But could you respond to Councillor Pratt in that regard, please?
Thank you, Councillor Pratt. As I say, it is an additional recommendation that we've added just to ensure that flexibility so that we wouldn't have to come back to council to make any further amendments. All I can advise is that it is a legislative requirement that we have to have the electoral registration officer, the returning officer, and a deputy. But it's a matter for council whether you wish to provide that further delegation to the chief executive so that he can appoint any deputies or revoke that appointment as he so wishes. As Mr. Mayor has indicated, it is something that a number of chief officers have within the delegated powers anyway. But as I say, it's just a matter for council whether you want to have that additional delegation to the chief executive.
Thank you for that. Laura, I'll bring the leader in now, please. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Laura. I'm just wondering, in relation to the concerns that have been raised on 9.3, whether or not it could be slightly amended and to say at the end and to revoke of various appointments in consultation with leader in cabinet. Is that something that would give more confidence, the fact that there's a political oversight or not?
Thank you for that, leader. Laura, please.
It would be, if we delegated the authority, it would be a delegated authority to the chief executive, and it would normally be a scheme B2, which would not be subject to consultation. A scheme B1 is subject to consultation with either cabinet or council. So the only way we could, if council was in agreement, that you note the appointments, we would bring them back to council for noting, or the only other alternative is that you remove that additional recommendation, but then every other appointment for a deputy would have to come to council. So it's again a matter for council.
Okay, thank you for that, Laura. Did you want to come back in? Didn't. Okay, thank you. Deputy Leader is next, and then Councillor Bennett, please. Deputy Leader.
Thank you very much. I understand that the returning officer and the chief elections officer, or whatever it is that they're called, is paid for by Welsh Government or UK Government when they're appointed. Who is going to pay for those deputies? Because according to the report, there is no financial implications. So are they paid for by UK or Welsh Government as well, or is that a cost that we're going to have to pick up additionally?
Thank you, Deputy Leader. I'll bring Laura in, please.
So the electoral registration officer is a cost that is picked up by Welsh Government. But any deputies would be for council. So there is no additional budget. So it would be whether it's brought into somebody's, job description or their role additionally. But as to whether it would be an increase then would be a matter that goes through job evaluation.
Thank you for that, Laura. And then finally, hopefully it's finally, we have Councillor Bennett on this, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question was going to be the same about financial enhancements, but as that's been asked, I'll move on to a different one, and that is, potentially an amendment to this. We accept the recommendations 9.1, 9.2, but not 9.3.
Thank you, Councillor Bennett. Next is the leader, please.
It's just been done, Chair. Mr. Mayor, I was just going to suggest what Councillor Bennett, I'd second that. Remove 9.3.
Move 9.3. Okay. I'm just going to check with Laura as the Deputy
Yes, that's
Monitoring
fine.
Officer.
Mr Mayor, if we could just have just approval from Council that everyone's in favour to remove 9.3.
Okay. Is everyone in approval of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As everyone's approved that, we will now invite the Chief Executive and the Monitoring Officer. For the removal. I take it we've approved. We've approved. Okay, thank you. Well, I've invited the Chief Executive in and the Monitoring Officer for us to have a comfort break. So we're going to have a comfort break as there's been requests from members, and we are about to do a comfort break. So we shall have a short comfort break of 10 minutes. So we should all be back here at about 5:45.